WTUG HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. WTUG HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we played the center and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. Because you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome to the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. It is a wild card Wednesday. Glad to have Adam with us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Time to get at it. I want to invite you to be a part of the program, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. We'd love to hear from you, what you'd like to talk about on this wild card Wednesday. Got a couple topics we want to get to that's kind of been lingering out there today. One being, of course, the one-time transfer rule. Great article on Alabama.rivals.com that's talking about, that spoke with some of the other coaches. How do you handle this new transfer portal? Transfer rule with the transfer portal, and now name, image, and likeness also being a part of the conversation. All of those things colliding to me at one time creates a whole world of recruiting, or a better lot in the new college world is roster management. Now, roster management for the likes of baseball and softball and other sports, they've been dealing with roster management, so it's not new to them. Or is it? Is it a new season, a new world? And is it difficult? Is it going to be hard? Which coach, which sport has the most difficult time with roster management? Will it be football? Will it be basketball? Will it be men's baseball? Which one of those new sports will have the hardest time dealing with roster management? We can have that conversation, or you may want to talk about name, image, and likeness. You may want to talk about the depth chart for Alabama football coming out of spring. It's a wild card Wednesday, and I'd love to have you as a part of the program. Don't forget to follow us on @MartinHouston35 on Twitter, @MartinHouston35 on Twitter, as well as Martin Houston Live on Facebook, and you can let us know your thoughts and your comments there as well. Once again, that Taco Casa hotline is 205-342-9904. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value under the biggest cactus in town. 6 locations in Northport, Tuscaloosa, the West Alabama area to better serve you. One up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive. Go check them out, and they'll be glad to serve you. Make them your choice for lunch and or dinner. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, sir?
Oh, having a good day today, Martin. Happy to be here, ready to see what we get into on a Wednesday.
All right. Mark Emmert got another contract extension. Huh, go figure. Huh. I guess the guy's doing a good job for the NCAA, or at least they think so. Um, I think when you start giving everybody what they want, you become popular. So, Mark Emmert, the current president of the NCAA, got a contract extension through 2025. So, more talk about Mac Jones and whether or not he is gonna be uh, replaced by North Dakota's quarterback now. That seems to be the conversation in terms of whether or not he's still going to go in at number 3 spot to San Francisco. Are they playing with everybody, or do they have their guy? Shanahan's response was, "Don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we do." That may be coach speech for yes, we know, but we're not going to tell you. No matter where Mac Jones goes, it's going to be great. But I'm hoping he's able to go to that number 3 spot. I think he'll be a good fit in the San Francisco world. Nick Saban, we didn't get to talk about it yesterday, but he teaches his players, Joe, 2 words when it comes to the draft. He said it's 2 words that the coaches look at is but, and but. And but. We'll talk about what that means as well. In the meantime, we want to give you an opportunity to get in on the conversation once again. The phone lines are open on this Wild Card Wednesday. Give us a call. Let us hear from you, or post your thoughts or your topics that you'd like to discuss this morning on Facebook. All right, let's go ahead and get to Pat. Good morning, Pat. How you doing, sir? Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind?
Oh, good morning. I want to play a little deal, no deal.
Okay.
Ben Davis becomes the Butkus Award winner under the tutelage of a real off defensive line coach in Bo Davis.
No deal.
No deal.
No deal.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say the kid doesn't go out there and do well, because I do think he may thrive and may have an opportunity to do some nice things in terms of playing, but I don't think he gets to that level of play in one season. And if that's the case, then we need to go back and assess our outside linebacker coaches.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe environment and perspective changes and helps some, but I don't know if it changes and helps that much, Pat. Well, but he's going to be an outside linebacker. He's not going to be a D-line coach. I mean, D-line player.
But Bo Davis is going to be able to get the best out of that young man, no matter what happens out there in Texas. I do believe that.
I mean, I believe Bo Davis will be good for him. But I think Freddie Roach was good for him, as well. So
Okay,
yeah.
That's still a pretty good question. Now.
Curtis Moore the second said, Bo Davis ain't gonna turn that kid around that much, Pat. No deal, Pat.
Okay. Well, my son disagrees. But anyway, hey, let's talk about the next question. Next question, deal, no deal. Bryce Young makes it to New York for the Heisman Award next 2 years.
Bryce Young makes it to New York within the next 2 years. Are we going to be playing up there at some point? No, just kidding.
I'm talking about for the Heisman.
Oh, okay. Does Bryce Young make it to New York within the next 2 years? I wish I'd seen more from the offensive line to be able to tell you that, because I think he's going to have the tools around him to do that. I think that uh, what we saw from Holder, Trayshawn Holder, and Ajay Hall, along with a couple of tight end prospects, we may have an opportunity there to see that young man make it up to New York. So I'll say I say he has a really good chance of making it there before he graduates, either next year or the year after. But I don't think he makes it this year, and I hope I'm wrong. If put it like this, Pat, if I'm wrong, if Bryce Young is in New York uh, over this year or next year, we're hoisting another trophy.
Exactly. Hey, those two wide receivers you just mentioned, they were both 6'3" at least. That is also a true statement. Anyway, hey, I just wanted to mess with you a little bit this morning, Martin. I hate this transfer portal and being able to. I think that sitting out a year, the way the old school used to be, I got no. You should be able to transfer anywhere you want to go. Hey, but you should have to sit out a year. It should mean something. Go ahead.
I don't have a problem with transferring and being immediately eligible, Pat. I just have a problem when they do it. And let me explain. Let me ask you first. Why do you think the kids should have to sit out a year?
For simple reason, roster management. That the biggest thing is you have nothing that you can do to discipline these kids. And a lot of these kids need discipline in order to become really outstanding players and outstanding young men and great citizens.
Yeah. Well. First of all, Pat, I think that if it's a free willy in a certain time, then I agree with you. You can't manage your roster, but I do believe that it could be done in such a way that you could manage your roster um, as long as it happens within a certain time. If the kids have to make a decision based on um, the January timeframe, then I believe that you would be fine. In terms of football, I'm talking football at this time. I think whenever the recruiting process is going on, you as long as it's not closed and over with, kids should be able to transfer. Okay. Uh, I also think that the NCAA should give flexibility within the roster size and range. Um, in terms of you should be able, instead of just having 85 players on scholarship and only being able to sign 25, I think that it should be your roster can range between, say, 85 and 90. And you sign and have immediately eligible 25 to 30. I'm not saying that the range I have that correct, Pat. I'm just saying that that's what. But if you had that range, now what I do is if I lose guys at a certain point, then I still have the ability to have recruited more. Uh, and that's on me as a coach to kind of have a feel for, hey, I may lose this guy or that guy, and have those number ranges. But if you can go through spring practice and then transfer, I don't think you should be eligible. I think if once the roster has been signed for that year and recruiting is over and recruiting is closed, I think if you transfer, you still have the ability to transfer or do whatever, but I don't think you should be immediately eligible, because now I can't go back and modify my schedule. And I'm gonna have to get the break here, but there's some things that can be learned from the softball world, the soccer world, but I also think that there's some differences between those sports and the major sports that make this recruiting thing really tricky for the major sports. And Curtis Moore asking the question, even graduates should sit out. Pat, I don't think you're saying grad transfers should sit out.
No. Grad transfers they go where they want to go. They finish their contract.
Yeah.
And
that's and I don't think they count against scholarships. I don't know if they count against a scholarship. Like they don't hurt you when you're bringing in a player that summer, and you probably have a pretty good idea when you're going to lose a grad transfer. I mean that the grad transfers usually don't just jump up and bite you like a kid that realizes. Quick example before we go to break. Coach Bohannon in Alabama said, does he know whether or not he's going the starter he's projecting for next year at shortstop was a backup, this year. Well, will that kid come back or will that kid transfer? And if that kid can transfer anytime he wants up until right before the season, then that's tough management. But if he has to make a decision by a certain time and the coach has a chance to react to it, then I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. Heads up. Friday's question. Friday's question will be 10 SEC games. Do we have to have more than 85 scholarship players? Be thinking about it. Hey, have a blessed day.
All right, man. Mr. Appreciate you, sir. All right, coming back on the other side. Joe, I may get your thoughts on a couple of those questions Pat asked there as well. I'd love to hear from you, listeners, on what you think about the transfer rule, and should they give more scholarships? Should they allow them to transfer at any time, at any point in the season within reason? And that's the way the rule appears to be set up as of now, or should they have to transfer, make a declaration during the recruiting process before signing date is over? I'd love to hear from you right here on the Martin Houston Show, 205-342-9904, or at Martin Houston 35 and Martin Houston Live on Facebook.
many other countries around the world. If your loved one was diagnosed with Parkinson's after being exposed to paraquat or other herbicides and suffered side effects, you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call us today at 800-304-7598. Our experienced attorneys are ready to fight for you, and you'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-304-7598. That's 800-304-7598.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays warm and dry today. The sky partially sunny, the high 84. For tonight, mostly fair with a low at 60. Tomorrow, increasingly cloudy. We'll bring in a chance of showers tomorrow night. The afternoon high at 83. I'm James Spain of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 69 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit him online at southmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
All right, Martin, you're on 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. Let me hear from you this morning on this Wild Card Wednesday. I want to remind you that in the fourth quarter, we will catch up with Scotty Hollins on this Wednesday. Johnson & Marshall Dentistry presents the Christian Moment of the Week with Chaplain of the University sports program, overseeing a couple sports, as well as Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Scotty Hollins will be presenting at that time. As we were going to break, talking about draft and not about the draft, but about the the NCAA transfer rule that is going to be ratified and will have major impact. Of course, several sports have already been dealing with this, soccer, women's soccer, as well as softball. All other sports are a short list of guys who will be dealing with it for the first time. Christy Curry, Nick Saban, Nate Oates, and Coach Bohannon, they will be dealing with it for the first time, and how it impacts them and whether or not roster management becomes the new buzzword. Joe, I'll ask you before we get to Curtis Moore in a second. Does roster become right up there with recruiting number one, number two, in terms of most important non-X's and O's responsibility? And important than that, you look at Nick Saban's dominance, does management potentially even overtake recruiting in terms of the importance?
Well, it's a key to most programs. You got to stay under the scholarship limit. And you got to make sure you want to make sure that you're filling out all the positions. Give all the positions enough players on the depth chart. I think the roster management is probably going to be a key skill for these coaches going forward. Maybe even more so than recruiting.
Yeah, because if you can get them here, but you can't keep them here, what difference does it make? Nick Saban has already been in that roster management mode, to me, Joe, for a while, in terms of, we're looking at a great example of roster management playing out right before our eyes in terms of some of the key components in this year's national championship team. Being able to get some of those guys to not just transfer, because Nick Saban has not had to keep a third-year guy, Joe, from leaving and going to another team. He's had to keep them from leaving and going to the NFL. So in some ways, he's already had some experience there. We're going to talk about that. Let's bring in Curtis Moore. He's been patient. Mr. Moore, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Martin and Joe?
Doing
I'm
good.
doing all good down here in Florida, man.
Awesome.
Hey, I just want to add on to the topic that y'all were discussing earlier. Something I just thought about. I do agree with you as far as the roster management. I'm totally on board and line. But with the Henry To'oTo'o example, a kid that couldn't foresee, this recruiting scandal and whatnot. I just want to know your take on that as far as should the SEC, have them at the exception to do immediate play. I know the NCAA is good with it and everything, but we're still kind of waiting on the SEC.
I do think that there should be exceptions to that rule, that deadline. See, right now, the reason they needed to go ahead and make the eligibility rule, to me, Curtis, across the board, was because of the inconsistency of their rules as it is right now. In other words, they were arbitrarily giving this guy free reign and this guy free reign. And then, like, for instance, from the Georgia program alone, they had a kid who was a tight end who came to Georgia from Missouri, and I don't remember his name, but his grandfather got sick, okay, and was terminally ill. And he was going to transfer back up he wanted to transfer back up so his grandfather could see him play college football. He was told no. Okay. Justin Fields, we know Justin Fields. Listen, I do not believe Justin Fields transferred from Georgia because of racial concerns. Okay. I just don't believe that, because he had a sister that was still on scholarship that stayed at Georgia. Okay. Justin Fields transferred to Ohio State to play quarterback and saw an immediate opportunity. And they gave him immediate eligibility. Okay. Then they gave Tate the ability to transfer to Miami and gave him immediate eligibility. So they were inconsistent in what they did. I think you can have some rules, Curtis, like you just said, that help you have some exceptions. I think that if there's a coaching change that happens post signing day, that time frame that I'm saying that gives if you do it in that recruiting window, pre-spring practice window, then you should be able to go. Okay. But if you do it after that, it should be like a coaching change. It could be like all of a sudden the program gets put on probation, and things that happen within the program that change your position within that program or your feel about that, and it would have potentially impacted your decision. I'm okay with those exceptions. And so in this case, let's say this rule was already in existence, Curtis, I would say that based on what happened at Tennessee and what the future looked like at Tennessee, I would allow that to happen.
Okay, yeah. Because the other guys like, oh, go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything.
You still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, sorry about that. I had some echoing. Guys like Eric Gray, I know they transferred outside of the SEC, folks like that. So I just hope the SEC kind of considers that,
Well, now let me ask you a question. Are you for interconference transfers being immediately eligible or not?
Yeah, I am. It just depends on the circumstance, Martin. It just does.
Yeah.
I'm like you as far as we need to have some sort of structure on that, though. But there's exceptions to the rules. This is a case by case basis.
Well, think about
I'm on board with you, though.
Think about the NFL. How does the NFL handle roster management? Free agents, and of course, they have contracts which they have agreed and signed and all that. But they have the ability when it's time, when they have the unrestricted free agent, they're still with one team, but they're able to look and go somewhere else. They can't do that anytime during the season, right? I mean, at any
Right.
time, they have deadlines that allow the team to forecast forward and go, oh, these guys are gone. Now we have our draft. Now we're able to replace these guys. Okay. And that's to me what I'm saying is you need to be able to allow people to transfer willy-nilly and then not allow the teams to be able to go back and get another player uh, at some point. To me is where you're really messing it up. And then of course you start looking at academics. Now you have the student athlete making decisions as well that may not be the best for them academically as well. And I know people, we say student athletes, but we really look at these guys as athletes first.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah. That answered my question. I just want to know y'all's take on that. So.
All right. Thank you, Curtis. Appreciate it.
All right. Hey, you take care. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Call back anytime. Joe, what are your thoughts in terms of his question in terms of the Tua? Do you think? I mean, you may be fine with the deadline as it is. I haven't even asked you that question.
I think I'm okay with how the deadline is at the moment. I know that I know that it doesn't exactly line up with the recruiting calendar, but I think I'm pretty okay with how it is as far as what is it, May? So I think I'm pretty okay with it being May. You declare you're in the port, you're out of your original school, you're into a new school before the new school year. I think that's all right.
Well, and see what. And you may be looking at it from a fan standpoint. I'm looking at it from a player. I'm looking at it from the players who just played, who just went through spring, and now Tua comes in and in May, and now I think it's going to create not just issues for the coach. I think you're going to see team issues with guys coming in because players have their boys, they have their friends, they have their relationships, and team chemistry. If Tua comes in, he may fit great, but also look at the guys who have busted their butts, and he announces and he comes in, and now I'm stuck at Alabama because he transferred in late, and I don't really get a chance to make another choice at that point. And people say, well, he should fight it out. Well, that's what he did during spring. That's my only concern is that college football is so mixed up and messed up compared to all other sports already in terms of the way we do things and don't allow things to happen. We're one of the few that we don't have a preseason, so we have spring practice, which kind of serves as the preseason when roster management is happening and guys get a chance to move around in the NFL and different things like that. But I just think that they're asking for a nightmare if they leave it at May in terms of kids making last minute decisions. And I go through spring and I get my job. You think that for at that point out of disappointment versus if they had to make it in January, they would probably be more likely to either make the jump and have it well thought out, or they'd be sticking to it. And here's the part that we'll talk about on the other side. Joe, how much recruiting, not your own team, but how much recruiting, especially if the SEC, and I think this is what they're concerned with, how much more would the re-recruiting of teams coming out will it have where maybe Georgia starts recruiting a kid that they recruited that went to Alabama, and now they're number 3 on the depth chart, and roster meddling will happen. That's going to be another whole new scenario. And Courage Moore posted a comment. I'm going to brief that on the other side. Coming back on the other side, his thoughts about Landon Dickerson, and that worked out pretty good for Alabama. Is the Landon Dickerson case the same as the new transfer portal rule without having to sit out? We'll talk about that and more. If you want to get in on the conversation, Tom Hole will get you on the other side of the break as well.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a bad wreck on 69 southbound down around Big Sandy, Texaco. Multiple vehicles involved. Emergency crews are on the scene. We may have possible injuries. If you see other conditions, give us a call. Trade in, trade up, save thousands at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the members. Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
You know what happens in a plasma chamber?
Big stuff.
Fincher and Osmond Jewelers care.
Earth and human safe.
And bigger, lots bigger.
Fincher and Osmond diamonds from the mines or artisan created.
All diamonds.
If you want to give her the big stuff, you gotta see these diamonds.
FincherandOsmond.com. A little tricky to find on McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1225. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-777-1225. 800-777-1225.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. If you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Martin, you're hot in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. I want to encourage you to visit alabamainsurance.com, alabamainsurance.com. You can call us at 205-342-0112, 888-878-0112. Give us a call there. We'll be glad to assist you and walk you through a quote. If you prefer to email, it's insurance@alabama1.org. Or get a quote online, request that quote. And all you have to do is go to alabama1insurance.com, type in your zip code, type of insurance, and give us your information, and we'll follow up with a quote within 24 to 48 hours based on what type of quote it is. We appreciate the opportunity to serve you. That's Alabama One Insurance. All of your insurance needs in one place: auto, home, life, commercial, and we would love the opportunity to assist you. Alabama One Insurance. Alabama One Insurance, your one source for all your insurance needs. We were talking as we went to break about the draft, and Curtis Moore said Landon Dickerson did arrive late and it worked out for the Tide. Laugh out loud. So who knows? But I still agree with you, Martin. Once again, Landon Dickerson. Grad transfers to me is another whole category, another whole story. Landon Dickerson was a graduate. And he was a special locker room guy. And that it did work out in that scenario. And so maybe the locker room thing isn't as big a deal as you think, but we'll see. And I think he had to work to get to that spot because he played several different positions and worked on several different spots. But I also think we all knew that Landon Dickerson was coming for a while. So maybe the Tua thing will work out as well. Curtis Moore said, I was just looking at it based off of locker room angle, how kids may be used to the kids that have been in the program for a while. Let's real quick. Let's get to Tom. Tom, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin.
Good morning.
Transfer, not graduate transfer, transfer. 2 examples. Remember the defensive back that transferred from Alabama to Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of talk was going around about Kirby probably tampered with it.
Yep.
What happened? He goes over. He plays against Auburn. Auburn gets the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to drive the ball down. Go ahead, beat Auburn, knock us out of going to the SEC championship game. That kid steps up, intercepts the pass. Georgia wins. We go to the championship game. Thank you, Lord, for the transfer. Second transfer example. We had a kid came from down in around Auburn or somewhere like that. He was running back. Pretty good ball player. He goes to Coach Saban. He says, I want to transfer. I want to go home. Coach Saban says, okay. He calls Auburn. Auburn calls the kid. He goes down there. He's on their roster, plays the next year. Turns out, pretty good ball player. Returns punt, returns kick, gets spot duty as a running back, gets a shot at the NFL. Thank you, Lord, for the transfer portal. And thank you, Lord, for coaches having sense enough to know that when a kid comes to them, ask them, says, look, I want to transfer. There's too many good ones here. I'm not going to get to see the field. I got to go. And so there's 2 examples of non-graduate transfers that were successful for what kids wanted to do, what coaches wanted them to do. And once again, thank you, Lord, for that interception.
Hey, Tom, I don't have a problem with transfer. I mean, I'm totally 100% behind the kids getting a transfer without having to sit out. I'm just saying that to prevent it from becoming chaos and let's move away from football for a second. Let's take Brad Bohannon, the baseball coach, right now, okay? Let's just take baseball, for example. Brad Bohannon, before this rule was made, had to deal with some of his players right now having their name in the MLB draft, right?
Right.
But they're on his roster.
Right.
But they have the ability to come back based on where they get drafted. Okay? So he already had to manage that piece. Okay? Then he may have signed, I think he signed 3 guys that are in the top 150 out of high school. Okay? right? Those guys can still be drafted.
That's right.
Okay.
If they're not high enough in the draft, they can go to college.
They can go to college,
if they're
or
high enough in the draft, they can go.
if right. Okay. And then he has the guys who are on the team that could go. Okay. And or come back. Then he has a 35-man roster that he has to split up 11.7 scholarships. Okay.
Right.
Now, based on by the way, we have not got to the immediate transfer rule. That's what he's already having to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has to deal with the fact that the that shortstop went home for the summer, and he was from Louisiana, right. And the LSU coach just told him that told his mother that, hey, if I know he went to Alabama and he set the bench this last year. If he comes to LSU, our guy is a projected #1 draft pick. We didn't expect that. Everybody knows he's the Mac Jones of this baseball class, so he's gone. Just let him know we'd love to have him. And this is in late June, okay? As long as he lets me know before July, he can come play for us.
Right.
That's what Bohannon is now going to have to deal with.
Right. He knew that going in, though.
Huh?
When he took the job, he knew that. All those things he listed.
No, he did not have. He did not have the ability for a kid to transfer in the summer because he didn't play. All the other things were already there.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying they just added this next level of roster management.
I get your point.
So
I agree.
I don't have a problem with them.
Being even harder to me, in my opinion. But
okay,
these baseball coaches, and I sympathize for them. I really do. Don't get me wrong. But they knew that stuff was going to be hard when they took that job. And I'm not saying anything against the coaches or anything like that. But to me, baseball has gotten to the point where it's just plumb ridiculous how it's not even competition and all that kind of good stuff. But I see your point. You're right.
My point is not, Tom, you and I are 100%. I'm for the players to recruit, be able to transfer. But it's like the NFL when they have an unrestricted free agent. They make that unrestricted free agent make a decision in time for his current team to adjust to him leaving, and the other guy a chance, the new team, for that guy to adjust to him leaving. With the new rule now, with like if in the NFL, and I need to go because of the break, but if I come to the Saints and I'm I'm the running back on the Saints, they're gonna release me, which now releases me to go anywhere else I want, etc. Now you have these high school kids who are having to do that. Well, as an agent out there that's doing that in college, that kid now has to try to get on the phone and find another place, or he's stuck for another year. It's just the timing of it. I want them to do something.
That's the best point that's been made about transfer, about anything. It should be a limit to when you enter, and be a limit when you cannot go. I agree with you.
And they have one. It's just that it's not till the end of May. All right, thanks, Kurt.
Like you said, you made another good point. It's so chaotic now with the way things are and the way the rules are. It's beyond chaotic. It's ridiculous, and I agree with every point you made. But
hey, Tom, I hate to cut you.
I'm trying to be funny.
I know. All right. Hey, coming back on the thanks, Tom. Coming back on the other side, we'll get with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Thanks, thank you, sir.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a bad wreck on 69 coming out of Mountville at the Warrior River Bridge. One car went into the river. That driver has been rescued. No injuries reported, but we do see major delays. Trade in, trade up, save thousands at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good morning. Agents of the West Alabama Human Trafficking Task Force arrested 17 men in Tuscaloosa last weekend in undercover operations. 11 men were charged with solicitation of prostitution, which is a misdemeanor. 6 more men were arrested and charged with felony travel to meet a minor for an unlawful sex act. A lawsuit filed Tuesday in Montgomery County Circuit Court by State Auditor Jim Ziegler, State Representative John Rogers, and others seeks to stop the state's $3 billion mega prison construction plan that would include a prison being built in Bibb County. I'm Don Hart.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
At Northport Auto Supply, we understand there's nothing worse than a dead battery. So to keep this from happening, be sure you periodically check your battery, including the terminals for corrosion. And if you ever need help, then come by Northport Auto Supply and let our knowledgeable professionals check your battery for free. Northport Auto Supply has the area's largest inventory of batteries in stock, and we'll even install it for you at no charge. Northport Auto Supply. Why go anywhere else?
All right, is that a Q2 or 3?
Wayne went MIA.
No.
To gain his sanity, he needs to find a replacement ASAP.
Hey, John, have you ever heard of a fungible good?
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Run with us on a John Deere Z365 RZ track mower, built for taking it easy. With the Easy Change 30-second oil change system and standard mulch control to control your clippings without any extra effort. Because lawns aren't just for mowing, they're for living. Nothing runs like a Deere. Get a new Z300 Series zero-turn mower with 0% APR for 24 months at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 1-800-226-8903.
All right, is that a Q2 or Q3 expense?
Dwayne's CPA went MIA.
No.
To keep his books and his sanity, he needs to find a replacement ASAP.
Hey, John, have you ever heard of a fungible good?
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Martin, you're all right now with Scotty.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's now time for our Johnson & Marshall Dentistry Christian Moment of the Week. Go check them out at dentisttuscaloosa.com and also check Scotty out at Blueprint Ministries. Scotty, good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Martin, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Oh, hey, I'm going to kick it to you real quick. Got a Shlomo to give us a word of encouragement of how to incorporate our faith into the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of play.
All right, Martin. Well, what I'll do is I will give our listeners a preview of what to be prepared for next week.
Okay.
In terms of
us getting to this grand finale. You know, we've been talking about finishing strong and what that looks like, and we're getting really close to the grand finale. And the grand finale is such a grand finale. I can't finish it in one day.
Right.
So it'll actually take us it'll take us 2 more weeks to finish it. So I'll give you guys a preview. We've looked at Hebrews 12:1, looking at the author of Hebrews writing this message to a group of believers who were beginning to coast, and he gave them 4 points. Remember the great cloud of witnesses, people who've gone before them, couldn't, and who had finished strong, even though they had lots of adversity, lots of difficulty. They didn't. They finished strong by faith in the Lord. But then they also laid aside weight, things that were slowing them down. They chose to run with endurance, and then they chose to run with endurance the race that was set before them. The fact that they ran with endurance proved that the race was going to be long and hard, but they said, look, if we're going to finish, we're going to have to run with endurance. And not just with endurance, but the race that's set before us. So let's not get distracted, and look to the left, to the right. Let's focus on the race that he set before us. Those are the 4 points that our author of Hebrews has given us on how to finish strong. And here's the grand finale, verse 2. All right, so, and this is just a preview of what we'll look at next week and the week after. It says, all right, after all that, encouragement, motivation, he says, and looking unto Jesus, this is verse 2, the author and finisher of our faith. All right, here's what's awesome. Jesus is the author and finisher of our faith. The second person of the Trinity, he's saying, even he, check this out, had to, he endured the cross for the joy that was set before. So important that he endured the cross. Didn't say he enjoyed it. Didn't say he just, it says he endured the cross for the joy that was set before him. So what we'll look at next week is what Jesus had to endure, the pain of the cross, and the shame of the grand finale is understand. You don't want to miss that.
Scotty, about the transfer rule. We'll talk about that more. Tell our listeners real quick where they can find you, sir.
You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can send me a message there. It comes straight to my email.
All right, that's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. And I want to give a big shout out to you, Scotty. Thank you so much for what you did past Saturday for the Stand Conference at Harvest Church. Life-changing. So if you want him to come, go to blueprintministries.com. Awesome. And that's Scotty Hollins, Joe Gaither behind the glass. Thank you, callers, listeners, viewers, commenters, and guests. We appreciate you. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide and catch you on tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Thanks, Martin. Have a good day.
Tide 100.9 traffic.